Hello and welcome to another demo. I know it's been a while, but this one is going to be on using Assert to test our Ansible playbooks. So when we run Ansible to manage server configurations, we assume if there's no red errors or any other issues that it's worked. But if you're developing Ansible modules for your systems, you know, writing modules and playbooks and roles, and you want to take a more DevOpsy approach, then you need to work on, and you're going to work on CICD pipelines. You're going to need to have some tests that prove that Ansible has done what it said it's done. And one of the best ways to do that within Ansible is to use the Assert module. So it basically asserts that a given expression is true. And all it does is literally just goes and checks. So if you were to test that a server has been configured the correct way, you'd probably log into the server, run some commands, see some output and go, right, okay, I think that's working. Or you test a connection, see if the port's listening, and then you go, right, okay, that's it. So we can just make those tests into Ansible assertions, basically. And so I know some people say you shouldn't use the same tool to do the configuration as for the testing, but all the other tools are going to do is just run a command on that server. So all you're doing is opening up your system to more testing tools to run the same commands when you've already got the same ability with Ansible. So I'm going to follow the approach today for the test-driven development. So you might have heard that TDD, and there's a wiki page on it here, so you can have a quick look at that. And basically what it lets you do is it tells you to write all the tests. So you look at what you want to do, you write tests that need to pass for you to prove that you've completed the work. And then as you create your code and you start to develop what it is you're trying to do, you rerun the test, and then the test passes, you've actually finished that section, and you can move on to the next test. So in this demo, we're going to create some tests using the Assert module. We're going to run them, confirm that they don't work, then we're going to write some Ansible code that's going to fix it, and then we're going to rerun the tests and confirm that they pass. So applications for this include CICD pipelines, but remember that if you write new code to do something, you have to write a test for it, because if you don't, how do you know it's doing or it's done what it is that you said you wanted it to do? So just think of it as a way of proving that your code's working. And as an example of that, don't waste your time, has the RPM been installed, has the configuration file in the right place, has it got the right permissions, does it contain the right information? That's kind of irrelevant. So for example, if you're installing and setting up a database, the test for it is to make sure you can connect to that database once you've finished the playbook. There's no point testing if it's installed and the configuration file's there and it's running. Just test the connectivity to the database. That's it. You don't need to do anything else. If you can connect, all of the other stuff worked, and you can just move on to the next section. So there's a couple of links. So I'm going to make all of this available in the gist at the end, in the comments, so you can see everything I've written here, including my test playbooks and all the code I'm going to use, so you can replicate the same test at home. And if you like it, hit subscribe. I do loads of these videos. If you want something on a particular subject, just help me out and tell me what you want. Put comments in if you're having a problem, and I'll respond, try and help you with it. So anyway, without further ado, let's get on. So the first thing is always just to check the documentation. It's always the first thing you should do, because so here's the Assert module, and there's not a lot to it, to be honest. It only tests things against the information you give it. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine this with running a command, and then we're going to register the output of the command and then check that the command has something in it that we want. And if it does, it will pass. If it doesn't, it will fail. And that's as simple as that. So let's crack on. So the first thing I've decided to do is we're going to test the time zone. So we want it to be Central European time, but if I check, so this is my test server, it's actually UTC. So I don't want UTC, I want CEST, I think Central European Standard Time, I think that's what it is, but it's CET for the time zone. So let's just write a test for that. So let's just create a test.yaml, and I'm going to speed it up. I will be providing a code. So here we're just going to take this information and we're going to run the first check. Oh, hold on. I need to do set paste. Don't know why it does it. I think I need to set my Vim file to have the correct information, but I'll do that. Okay, so this is the first test. So it's a playbook like any other. You tell it what you're going to run it on, if you need to become root for anything. And one of the tests we do later, we need to do a check on a port, so we need to elevate our privilege to root. So here we're going to run the date command, which is exactly what I did here, and then in that output we're going to register the output, and then as part of registering the output we're then going to check if UTC, actually I don't want that, let's change it to CET, I think is the time zone. So this will fail straight away. So if I just do a Ansible playbook and then test.yaml, you should go and connect. If I spell it right, test.yaml, it should hopefully connect. Yeah, and it's failed. So the assertion has failed, and we know why it failed, because our test is looking for CET, but it's getting UTC. So let's write some more tests. So I'll speed this up. So we're going to also check that Nginx is installed, and then we're also going to check that it's listening on port 80. So I'll put these test checks in as well. I really need to sort my Vim file out. Okay. Let me cut and paste properly, come on. Right, let me set paste one more time. Isn't just me. Right, here we go. Okay, so these are all the tests. So we're now going to check that, we're also going to check that Nginx is installed, and then we're also going to check that port 80 is listening. So when you run these tests, because it fails, it just stops. You could do ignore error and go through all of them, but I'm not going to do that. So if we just run the playbook again, it will just fail at the first one, and that's absolutely fine. So now if we write a fix for this, so we're going to write fix.yaml, and it's a separate playbook entirely. I've got, again, the fix section here. This will be made available in the code. So let's cut and paste this. Remember to do set paste and put it in. So what this is going to do is it's going to set the time zone to CEST or CET. It's going to install Nginx, and then it's going to start Nginx, and that should be everything that we need to do. So this is just a simple web server and a time zone. So let's save this. Now let's just run this playbook. And it should go off, set the time zone, set this, install Nginx, and then start it. So normally you'd be quite happy, that'd be it, you wouldn't bother testing, you'd be straight on to whatever it is you want to do. But as part of the CICD world, we probably need to provide some sort of test that proves that this has worked. So if we now try and run our test assertions, it's failing, so let me just double check. I need to fix the assertion, not the yes, I need to fix the test, not the fix. Okay, so I just need to update this. So insert S, because that's what we're checking for. Okay, so now we run the tests, and then okay, so 1's passed, 2's passed, and 3's passed. Brilliant. So it's got the right time zone, it's got the right assertion. Yeah, so if I was to stop Nginx, just check the status. Yes, it's not running. Then the last port 80 shouldn't be listening because it's stopped. Okay, and it's not, so it's failed. So something's wrong with your code. It hasn't done what you said it was going to do. You need to go back and check. So that's just a really brief overview. Now we can use assertions for all sorts of different things. This is just a few, but yeah, all you're going to do is test it with a command line. So I hope this gives you an insight into how to use assert and how to use this in your modules. Obviously I haven't gone into that much detail about using it in CICD, but hopefully you can sort of see where you would run this playbook. And again, remember that as you write modules and roles and playbooks to do the things you want to do, make sure you write a test that tests to make sure it actually works. So anyway, thanks for listening. I'll catch you in the next video. Check out the gist with all of this information in, and don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you soon. Take it easy. Bye-bye.